Shut up and sit down.
Hey everybody, it's the Takeover Tuesday podcast, and I'm David Allen, and we're back. We got another exciting guest. We got a fellow Canadian here on the line. I hope I'm going to pronounce this right. Take a shot. As another Canadian, I'm going to screw this up as soon as I say that. Kristen Goetz.
No.
I knew it.
No, that was a valiant effort, and I will give you points for that. It's actually pronounced Goetz. So I just tell people to pretend the O is not there. Really, I should just take it out, right?
I was waffling.
That was pretty good. I usually get Goetz, sometimes Gortez, and it's just Goetz. Nothing too special.
It's funny because I have a friend who also, well, you don't live in Toronto anymore, I don't think, but also lives in Toronto, which you used to. And her name is like just slightly opposite, like slightly different than yours. Her name is Kirsten, and her last thing is pronounced Geets, if I remember correctly. So it's like just barely.
I must meet her.
Yeah.
Maybe she's my secret, like, evil doppelganger.
She might be your doppelganger.
She's Bizarro Kristen, or I guess Kirsten, or whatever.
And she has a black dog that is small. No, just kidding. I'm just kidding.
That would just be too much coincidence, and I'd start to get a little bit scared, or she should. I don't know.
See these nuggets research provides. It's awesome.
Exactly.
All right. So you are a social media freelance writer. Let's get into sort of your career. I won't even try and put some sort of label on it because you do a number of things.
Also juggle.
Folks, if you're looking for a juggle for your next kids party in the St. Catharines area, then hit up Miss Goetz.
There you go.
Okay, so you have a business now called The Media House. But let's go back, because how I found out about you, and I found out about you long before I had a show, long before I was a copywriter, because I had been reading your blog. And for people out there who like to read, and like to read sort of raw, uncensored stuff, kind of like what some of my other favorite writers are, James Altucher, and we had Carolyn Elliott on the show here most recently, who's got the same sort of appeal. If you like just raw, uncensored stuff, then look up Kristen's blog, which is the Shambled Ramblings. Is that correct?
Yeah. That is how you found me, isn't it? Wow. I think it's been a really long time, actually. I think was it first that you commented on the blog, and that's how?
Now this is an interesting story because it's very convoluted, and this may be interesting to people, and given that your writing is so, you're very forward in your writing and your videos.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So this may fit perfectly into the thing, and I will tell you the full story right from the beginning. Now I have. Let me see if I can figure this out again. My ex-girlfriend's sister's husband. Okay, so I'll slow it down just for a second so we can catch up. Then commented. You commented. You wished him a happy birthday on his Facebook page many moons ago.
Oh, okay.
Which is David Falkenberg is his name.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So he's my ex's sister's husband. This is gonna sound terrible, I'm sure, when we get on the air here. Now, I went to comment happy birthday on his page, and you were right above my, where I was you were the last person to post, I guess, before I was gonna post happy birthday. And this is when they were living down in Southern Ontario. So I was gonna post, and I said, "Oh, who's this girl?" Kind of a attractive looking picture, I guess. So that's probably my male hormones at work. But
so it must have been a picture of my dog then. Is that what?
Yeah, exactly. It's a white dog, and, and so I clicked on it just out of Facebook curiosity, and and somehow that led me to your blog. Probably it was off your profile or something.
Right. Yeah.
And I started reading your blog, and it was very good because I like to read. It was just so enthralling and stuff, and you were just very open about your life and stuff. And it's a great blog. Anyone should go and go read it.
You make me want to start blogging again because I don't really anymore. But you know what? I'm going to start. As of today, I'm going to start. I used to blog every second day.
Yeah.
And you're right. I would just blog about everything. Everybody knew maybe too much about me. But now I'm lucky if I do it once a month.
Yeah. You haven't blogged in a get back to get to it, sister.
Okay.
Yeah. And
do it for you.
Videos. You make great videos too.
I haven't done that in like 3 years.
Let's get back to reality. Let's do this again. Okay, let's get this rolling again.
Okay, I'm gonna stop with the business. No more Media House. I'm
No
gonna go back to Shambled Ramblings.
Pointless client emails.
Yeah, there's no need to try to make a living. I should just blog about what I ate for breakfast. Yeah, well, I mean, some people do it. I never quite got to what some people. I don't know. Some people are very into the blogging and they do a lot of it for money and stuff like that. I mean, I had a lot of great opportunities from it, but I never made it my source of income. It never I never felt right to do that for me, but some people do really well with that. So kudos to them.
Yeah, no, I think, so that was very interesting. I remember reading the blog, and I remember I told some of my, I have some very close female friends, and I got them reading the blog, and actually one of my friends is from Whitby, so she even knew some of the area and stuff you were talking about and whatnot.
Oh, really?
So she found it enjoyable. And then, to twist this even crazier, I was on an online dating site.
Aha, yes.
Now, this is going back about 4 or 5 years now, I think, maybe, or 4 years. So people can find the post, I'm sure, somewhere. Maybe I'll find the link to it or something. But somebody was using your photos without your consent on an online dating site. And only because I was a fan of your blog and reading your blog at the time did I realize this, because I'd seen the pictures and stuff. I hadn't seen these particular pictures, but I'm very good with, at the time I was in a nightclub. At the time I was working in a nightclub, a very large nightclub in Winnipeg, and I'm very good with faces. If I see someone's face, boom, I'll never forget it. And so so I realized that this was your picture, even though I think you had blonde hair in the pictures that this person was stealing.
Yeah. They usually do steal the blonde ones. I think I'm offended a little bit. I've had dark hair since 2009, but people are still stealing my blonde pictures.
There's probably some marketing information in there somewhere.
I think I'm just offended. That's all.
That's very curious too. So then I reported it to you, and this had happened to you in many instances, as it turned out.
God, yes, yeah. Well, it's funny. I don't know if I realized that you were reading the blog before the photo incident.
Right.
Because I think that's the first time you got in touch with me. So what usually would happen, because this started getting bad in about 2010, maybe early 2011, that suddenly people were using my pictures for their Facebook pages, for their dating profiles, for Twitter. It was all over the place, and I was completely freaked out because this was new to me. No one had done that before that I had known of. But people were messaging me and saying, I saw this picture, or I was dating this girl online, and I thought that she was, this age, and she did this, and she had a cute little dog, and she sent all these pictures of her and her friends and all this stuff. And then some people would do a Google image search of the photo when they started to get a little bit suspicious, and then they'd find my blog, and then they would message me through that. So that's usually how it happened. People that were talking to these people would, for some reason, search the photo and find the site. So that's what I thought had happened, because usually that's how I got new blog readers from these copycat people. And I mean, on a few occasions, these I want to say girls, but I don't know for sure that they are, because who knows who they are. They were taking my actual blog posts and posting them on Facebook as updates. So there was one woman, when my grandmother died, I wrote a pretty, not too emotional, but a post kind of, for her. And this girl had taken the entire post and made it her Facebook post, and all her friends were like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. That was beautiful. You obviously cared so much." And she's answering like, "Yeah, she was really special to me. I'm so sorry that she died." I'm like, that is a really shitty move. I was actually appalled by the lengths that some people would go. So, yeah, but I mean, in some ways it's good. I got a lot of blog readers from these poor scorned men. So
that is crazy.
It's still happening. I still get messages from it. Now I don't care as much. because there's not a lot you can do about it. You can't.
Yeah.
Facebook really doesn't do anything. The dating profiles, I mean, most people are fake anyway, so whatever. But yeah, and
That's
usually they
crazy.
do choose the blonde photos. So yeah.
That's very, I have and well, we're getting into it, so I might as well give a. I worked in a nightclub for, like I said, for about 5 years. It was the largest nightclub in Winnipeg at the time when I worked there, and we had about 1,000 or 1,100 people through the door every night. On the, because we're open Friday, Saturday, and occasional in the summer one other day, and you'd get probably like 60% women. And it was funny because at the time, before I started working there, I was dating someone who was blonde, which is how I know David Falkenberg. And then later, I was dating some other. And I've always had a thing for blondes, I guess, growing up in the '80s.
How it does it?
The brainwashing from TV took hold, but I noticed, and I have never verified this with any sort of evolutionary biologist or anything. But I noticed that in the dark environment of the nightclub, that I could look around the room, and we had a large sort of main hall area. I could look around the room and I could pick out blonde girls at like a good distance, boom, 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 boom. But the darker haired girls would just blend into the scenery,
Right. That is a scientific thing because I don't know why I read random things. I like knowing a lot of completely useless facts, but knowing them really well. So the thing about blondes, the reason, and I don't mean any offense to blondes because I was one for a very long time.
Right.
The reason that blondes are usually seen as more attractive or more striking is because the eye is automatically drawn to blonde. So it's like you said, if you see two women from across a room, one of them has dark hair, one of them has blonde hair, your eye is automatically going to go to the blonde person. And another thing that blonde hair does, because it's close to the skin tone, it sort of softens features and somehow makes women more attractive.
There you
But
go.
some of us just don't want to deal with the roots anymore. So we go dark because we want to blend.
Yeah. Having several close female friends, I know the frustration with the peroxide or whatever else is going on there.
It's a pain.
Yeah, I've since learned, the benefits of darker hair girls. So I've been educated since then. But
there's also a benefit to shaving your head, but I haven't done that yet. That's the next step. See if you find anybody on dating sites using my shaved head pictures.
I'll keep an eye out.
You let me know.
So that's basically the story. How I found out about you, and then you'd made a post that I had alerted you. A blog post that I had alerted you, and then you detailed sort of some of the other ones.
Yeah, I've got a few posts like that because they just never stop. So it was like, these are the new ones. They are horrible people.
They are horrible people, and it's a litany out there for people doing that. I've seen that in other contexts, not in the same dating thing, but in other fake profiles.
Oh yeah, it's so easy. I mean,
it is. They're so
save it, use it. Yay. Yeah. That could be anything I want. So I don't know why I'm not doing it, but
right. Now you are a freelance. You were a freelance writer. You are a freelance writer. Take us back to where you had regular jobs, and then how you have escaped.
Let me see. Well, about, oh God, how old am I now? Let's say a decade ago. Yeah, it must have been a decade ago. So 2006, 2007. I was working an office job in Niagara-on-the-Lake. Anybody listening knows of Niagara-on-the-Lake. I don't know if you have mostly American or Canadian listeners, but Niagara-on-the-Lake is a lovely town with an office that I no longer wanted to work in. And so I was working in an office, but I'd written all my life. My plan was always to become an author. So I was taking, some side freelance jobs here and there, but I hated working in an office, and I've kind of figured, if I want to be a writer, what better time to sort of focus solely on that than while I'm in my early 20s living at home, if not now, when? So I quit the job and decided to focus on freelance writing, and I did that, and which means, of course, when you're starting out and that's your source of income, you'll do pretty much anything. So I wrote a lot of business articles, website content for people. I had a an advice column at one point, which is kind of hilarious.
Nice.
What kind of advice
Do we
could I
still have
give?
access to this advice column?
Geez, the site I think no longer exists, but I believe that I have copies, and I might have even posted some to the blog a long time ago. And they're not like it. I don't know what right I have giving advice to anybody. My advice to you is this: maybe don't listen to my advice. I don't know. It wasn't all bad. I'm sure I knew a little bit, but let's remember that I was like 23, so lots of life yet to be lived.
So you knew everything, Beth.
I did. I still know everything. I will always know everything. So I was doing that for a while. I did my freelance stuff, and then I ended up moving to Toronto to live with my boyfriend at the time. And this was during the lovely recession back then, so there were no jobs. So and moving to Toronto to find more freelance writing jobs was kind of a stupid move because there are so many writers in Toronto. So I went from St. Catharines to Toronto, and it's like, oh crap, there's a lot of you here. There aren't a lot of you where I was from, but now there's a lot of you. There's a lot of competition and not enough jobs. So I kind of, again, took whatever I could. I worked in radio for a while as well, wrote commercials and things like that. I had a few other marketing jobs as well, continuing with the freelance stuff. And then in 2011, I kind of switched gears a bit because I had more experience with social media as well. So writing and social media, other sort of creative and marketing kind of skills that I wanted to utilize. So I decided to stop any other jobs and go forward with the Media House, which was at the time I wanted it to be sort of one-stop shop for small businesses that needed any kind of marketing and creative work, because I had so many friends that were so talented at, website design, graphic design, other writers, things like that, that weren't always having an easy time getting gigs, which is terrible because they were really good at their jobs and I wanted to get them more gigs. And I always found that clients that hired me for writing stuff would also ask for me to do their graphic design and their websites. And I was like, hey, I'd love to, but I don't know how. Like that's not within my skill set. So
Right.
I can't really help you. So I wanted to sort of have a place where a client could say, look, we need, website graphics, branding, content, everything, do it. And I would have me and a freelance team to do that. So it's kind of evolved over the years, but I guess our main thing is kind of I do a lot of social media and still some writing, not as much as I'd like. I should probably try to do more. And it's mostly online marketing and branding for small businesses, usually between Niagara and Toronto. So, and that's where we are today.
Very nice. So, no, it's great. And so, at what point did you leave the sort of the job world and go full time into the Media House?
Well, I technically started working for myself a decade ago. So when I switched from freelance writing to the Media House, that would have been I think the Media House officially became a business in 2011. It was. So I mean I had some different jobs either on the side or while doing freelance work. Like I said, when I worked in radio, that was a full-time job, and I had a couple other marketing jobs as well that nothing lasted too long because I don't feel right when I'm working for other people other than radio. Radio was great. That was probably my favorite job.
Right.
But I tend to have oh no, I don't know who's going to hear this. Never mind. I
Come
have
out
some.
with it.
Well, okay, I'll put it to you this way. If we go way, way back, I've had a boss who was technically involved in criminal activity and I didn't know it, and still owes me money. And so, people like that. I end up working with people or for people that there's just something not right. So if I can't trust my boss, I might as well just work for myself, because if I'm going to, be terrible boss, at least it'll only be for me. So it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's fine.
Plus, I get to work in sweatpants and hang out with my dog, so you can't really lose there.
No, that's true. So that brings us really up to date. That's your full-time gig now, is doing creative and writing and social media management.
It's the juggling, yeah, and the juggling.
and the juggling.
I don't really juggle. I wish I could. I'm sorry. I'm a liar.
But you're back in St. Catharines now.
I am back in St. Catharines. Yeah, I was in Toronto for probably about 7 years, and then I moved back home about a year and a half ago now. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I'd taken some time off from reading the blog.
Yeah,
Well,
well, there wasn't much to read. Sorry about that.
it took me, because you'd slowed down your writing output.
I did, yes. I'm gonna revamp it for you.
But I had left Winnipeg and hit the road for the last 3 years, so I was not reading the blog because I was doing a bunch of other stuff. And then
Busy.
yeah, and then we ended up here today on this podcast. Well, that's of course I started the podcast, which is a necessity for being here today. But also, I had some free time and stuff now, so I was like, man, and I remember clicking through my bookmarks and being like, man, I haven't read that blog in forever. What is she up to? And I thought, man, what a perfect guest, because you've done what so many people would want to do, I think, and people who listen to this show, which is be their own boss, and make the transition. What are some of the things you found transitioning out of some of these jobs you used to have into like working for yourself? Now you said, of course, you're no longer involved with criminal activity.
Well, at least not
bosses.
at least not my bosses. I mean, I didn't say there was none. Let me see. I mean, a lot of people aren't made for working for themselves. I know a lot of people couldn't do it, and they admit that they couldn't do it because the main problem with it is discipline. When you don't have to get up at 7 a.m, and get ready for work and sit down at your desk at a certain hour, most people won't do it. So a lot of people that have tried end up failing just because it's hard for them to do it. For me, I'm such a routine driven person. No matter what I do, I always have a routine so much that it's almost annoying to people that I'm so predictable. I will eat the same thing every day. That's how routine I am. So it's not hard for me once I develop the right routine. I get up the same time every day. I get ready, walk the dog, sit at my desk the same time every day, check my emails for this amount of time, do this for this amount of time. Certain times of the day are, strictly scheduled. So because I'm able to do that easily, that I think is, it makes it a lot easier. And that's something that I never had a problem with. So the discipline and the scheduling and treating it like it's a job, that I think was really important. But I mean, at the same time, the beauty of self-employment is flexibility. So if there's something that I know I need to do on an afternoon on a Friday, I can, plan things around that and make sure I'm available then because, hey, I'm the boss. So there's good things and bad things.
Now, have you always been sort of schedule oriented your whole life, or is that something you developed?
I think I always have. When I think back to even growing up, I'm very routine just because I guess I'm a control freak if I'm being honest with you. I like things to be a certain way, and I like to know what to expect. I don't like surprises. I don't like changes. I'm not an impulsive person, which some people are surprised by. So yeah, I've always kind of had my pretty strict routine, and for me, I think it's because, I have an anxiety disorder. So when things get kind of, they go against routine, I feel strange and it doesn't feel right. So yeah, routine is pretty important to me. And I think it's definitely important for running a business.
Right. Now, do you have any, maybe everyone, of course, is slightly different, but do you have any sort of tips for people who are looking to develop a routine of their own, perhaps, maybe some advice you have?
I think the key is to not force yourself to do something that isn't comfortable. Like some people are not morning people. So if you know that waking up at 7 a.m. is going to, not be beneficial and not make you efficient, then don't do it. Instead, wake up, find some time that's the right time to wake up, and find the time of day or night that you're most awake and most ready to work and have the most energy. Some people work all through the night because that's when they're really good at it. That's when they get the most done. I have weirdly specific hours of the day where I know, like, between 4:30 and 5:30, I get so much done. And it makes no sense, but I know. So I schedule certain things for that time because I know I need more energy and more I need my brain to work better then, so I'll schedule it for certain times. So it's kind of know what your limits are, know what's comfortable to you, and work within what's comfortable. Because if you're forcing yourself to, get a bunch of work done at a time when you're not at your brightest, you're not going to be delivering your best work. So it's not going to be helpful for you.
Yeah, that's good. That's very good advice, I would say. Now you sort of talked a bit about your writing career, and you were always into writing, wanted to be an author.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe talk a bit about how your writing, perhaps your blogging, and so has led to opportunities for your business.
Well, writing, I mean, when I was freelance writing, I did learn a lot about small businesses because it would be the small businesses that didn't have big budgets that would sort of they'd put ads out on Craigslist and things like that because they couldn't afford the big agencies. They wanted someone local and cheap. So I learned a lot about small business that way. And blogging, I mean, when I first started the blog, and for the majority of the years that I've had it, I didn't have the Media House as a business. So I usually kind of try to separate the two. Although in the beginning, blogging did, the blog itself did bring in some clients because people would be on the blog and then I would post about, here's my new business, this is what we're doing. So then people did contact and say, I'm interested in that. I don't know why over the years I've kind of separated it. I kind of worry that clients won't get it, and but then I also have to think if they don't like the personal side of things and what my personality is, then they probably don't want to work with me anyway. Whereas I have clients that love the blog, or when I wrote in it, they loved it, and that's part of why they hired me, because then it's kind of a good way to see what a person is like. I have had people do extensive searches, which I recommend. When you're hiring somebody, do as much searching and find out as much as you can about them. So people will read my blog and pretty much everything you want to know is right there. If you read what I'm writing and you don't really like it, then you probably don't want to work with me. So I guess it works both ways, but hopefully it works out more for the positive.
Yeah, you see random Facebook profiles with Kristen's picture.
That's a problem.
It's not her. Yeah,
it's not me. I never really thought about that. I wonder, if any clients have ever come across these fake profiles and think it's me, because it's entirely possible. They are out there.
Yeah,
much like the truth. It's out there.
Yeah, it's true. Now, for clients you have nowadays, are these clients you've been working with for a while, or how do you, nowadays the sort of buzzword is a funnel. How do you get these people in? How do you get these? I hate that word, but how do you bring in new clientele? What sort of things are you doing to engage people and get them interested in your services?
Everyone's been kind of different. I've had some clients for years. I think I have one client for 6 years now, and some are just a few months depending on the project. It depends what they need. So there's long-term and short-term, and a lot of them end up being word of mouth. I've had a lot who have heard about me from other past clients. Some of them we've just connected on Twitter. It's kind of been all over the place. There's been a lot of, some of them I emailed because maybe I saw their site needed something better, or they needed some marketing help, and I really wanted to, because I like to reach out to businesses that I think would be a lot of fun to work with. And so I've actually been pretty lucky. My clients are all really great, so I'm knocking on wood here that it stays that way.
No crazy people. She doesn't want any crazy people.
That's why I work for myself, damn it. I've had the crazies.
Well, that's good. So you did some actual outreach where you would look at, that's tactics I have used myself, and I know other people we've had on the show have used that sort of tactic of looking at other people's websites, in your case, because marketing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like the whole, there's certain people, especially I think larger marketing businesses who also work with larger clients. They tend to have some impersonal ways of getting clients, and that's kind of the opposite of what I want. I want everything to be very personal. Like I want my clients to know that I have done as much research as possible on their brand and know that I'm putting the time in and that I care. I want my small business clients to do really well because their success means a lot. So all the impersonal ways that other agencies do it, I mean, that works really well for them. But no, I think a personal touch for me is kind of important, because I know I would want the same thing as a small business owner, someone reaching out to me. I get emails all the time from, I'm sure you get them too, different
Offering
marketing.
services, yeah.
Yeah, and some of them offer me services that I already offer.
Yeah, I
I'll
find that the weirdest part.
Oh,
Yeah.
I hate it. And it's that it's just a canned message and they put your name in it and they have like a bot going through websites and gathering information and they just send out these things and they bother me so much. Whereas if someone actually reaches out and says, "Hey, Kristen, I found your website and I think this would be a great tool for your businesses," even if I have no intention of using what they're offering, I will write back and say, "Hey, cool, thanks. That sounds really great. I don't personally need this, but if someone else does, I'd be glad to pass along your information." Just because the personal touch, I think, makes a huge difference.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's a good point. It is weird to get emails for people offering me copywriting services.
Right? I find it so insulting. It's like, do a little bit of research and see that this is exactly what I do. And I don't understand the point. Otherwise, they're just wasting their time.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It's
I
like, how
don't
many
get
other
it.
people did you send this to?
A lot, a whole
Yeah.
lot.
I get those ones. There's a number of things, and you're a social media person. You do social media services, so you'll understand this. But there's a number of things I just absolutely loathe about current, state of the art things that happen daily. It seems like getting added to Facebook groups I never wanted to be in. Number
Yep.
one.
Oh no.
That's a terrible plague. Actually, we actually have a guy. I had a guy on the show. The episode has not come out yet, but named Sam Blake, and he ran afoul of that thing on his own. He's a younger guy, just trying to break in, and he sort of made some mistakes in that regard. And I think that'll be interesting for people listening to this. Maybe go back and listen to Sam's one when it comes out, because how he ran afoul of that is sort of not what you'd expect. But from that, I hate that. Number one. Number two, I hate those auto
DMs.
Auto DMs on Twitter.
Oh yes, I wrote a blog post about this because I loathe them. I wrote it like a few years ago. I think when I had just started the Media House blog, because it's like, what can I write about? What's something that people care about? And I was like, auto DMs, because they are the worst.
They're so
They are
impersonal.
terrible. I asked my Twitter followers, I said, who hates auto DMs? What are your thoughts? And I got so many responses, and I couldn't post most of them because lots of swearing. Because they're so terrible. And I've had clients that say, I got these or they don't know that they're auto DMs, but I got this message when I signed up or when I connected with someone. Should we be doing the same thing? And no, never do it, because it just turns off the person. You will get unfollowed. It's terrible. It's, hey there, strange person that I don't know your name, because I can't be bothered to, send you. If you send an actual message like, hey, Bob, thanks for following. Really like your website. Let me know if you need, whatever. That's a little bit different. It's still salesy, but at least it's more personal. Auto DMs are terrible. Most people, I think, have learned, well, maybe not most. For a while, it was so, so bad. Everyone thought that this was like the greatest marketing trick ever, because it took no effort whatsoever. You just set it up and everyone that follows you back gets a message. But people rebelled against it. People hated it. So there's less than there used to be, but they still exist. I feel like they're starting to crop up again, and it's terrible.
No, I agree. I'm not the most diligent Instagram user. I actually use it for something separate, but I have it linked to some of my other accounts, so I presume people find it somehow. But because it's not really associated. Yeah, they have their deep research, so they find it somehow. But I notice on there too, on Instagram, because there is sort of a DM aspect to Instagram now too, that I get those pretty routinely now on Instagram, because people are using it's becoming bigger, and so people are using it more, and as a result, there's more of that fuckery, for lack.
Do you mean like the random tags that you get, like a random mention? It's you and maybe 4 other accounts.
Yeah, I get personal messages that are automated sometimes.
I just get weird guys.
Yeah,
they're terrible.
Probably unsurprising.
But I'm like, hey, I'm not blonde anymore. Why is this happening?
You thought they couldn't see you anymore.
Oh, I thought it was hiding. Oh, it's upsetting.
But yeah, and I get the random, and then what you're talking about, which is the random tagging, where they're like tagging me, and they're like, and it's a list of people that they've tagged.
And can that work for anything? I don't. It's like on Facebook when there's the shoe ads. There's a picture of a shoe, and they tag like 30 people.
Yeah, like Ray-Bans
Ray-Bans, yes, the
Ray-Bans for $10.
way to go, Ray-Ban. You screwed it up. That's terrible. And some
Yeah.
people like it. And when I see likes on these pictures, and I'm thinking, who is liking this?
Yeah.
Why are you liking that someone tagged you in a picture of
Yeah.
a Ray-Ban? It's terrible.
Yeah.
As you can see, I'm getting like giddy about it.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
overwhelmed with
so
hatred,
weird.
and
It's
I
so
don't
weird.
understand.
I think I have and I'm probably different than maybe some marketers and stuff. That one of the things I'm really, just my own principle, I think, against is the use of what they call PLR, which is private label. People have written articles and they sell them, and then you just relabel them, put them as content on your niche sites or whatever the hell it is you're doing.
Yes, I have, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people do that, I know, and I'm sure it's worked for many people. That's just something I would refuse to do because
no.
because and that's my own personal stance, is just to I just, because if it doesn't, if I wrote it, you will know, because it will have my sarcasm and stuff embedded.
Sure, yeah. If you have your own personal voice, which is essentially what anybody that writes their own stuff, I mean, bloggers, whatever, if you have your own stuff that you write, it should have your own voice, so that people should be able to recognize whether something was written by you or not. But there are a lot of people that have sites that they say they write on, and it's just other people's stuff.
Yeah. Now, it's different if you have a site where people are like, you have regular writers that aren't you.
That's completely different. But some of it's stolen.
Talking about this. Yeah, I'm talking about the stuff that you purchase and put up there like wallpaper almost.
Yeah, and I know of one site that a client of mine had posts on, and they didn't actually do any what's the word? They didn't credit her so much. Like there was no link back to her own site.
Right.
So it seems like it's great exposure, except they stayed on that site, so they weren't going back to her site. So it's not really beneficial. Like, yeah, they're reading your words, but on someone else's site. And I thought that was really unfair. Like it's kind of like these people were taking credit for her really great work. So that kind of thing, I don't really I don't abide by.
Yeah,
Appreciate that kind of thing.
Yeah, because it seemed like a couple years ago. It doesn't seem as big now, but I still see it happening. Which is good to some degree. Is a lot of guest posting. People would guest post on other people's blogs and so forth. And that has its own. That seems to be a lot of times people are doing that for, to drive that traffic back to their own.
Well, yeah, it's sort of a cross promotion. You get your stuff promoted, and then I'll promote it so that you get more traffic to your site, and I get more traffic to my site, and yada yada yada. I had a couple guest posts, but the majority of mine were people that didn't actually have their own sites. It's just I wanted them to write a blog post for me,
right.
Like
right.
Masuka.
Yeah.
I want Masuka to do stuff. Right. So that kind of thing. Does everybody miss Masuka? Does anyone remember Masuka?
Yeah, it must have been an article about boobs, I presume. So.
Oh, you remember Masuka. He'll be so glad when he hears this, he will be very happy.
Yeah, Masuka, awesome,
Masuka,
buddy.
Come back.
We think more alike than I'll care to admit. But,
everyone does.
I guess I just did. But no, that's great. He should.
Inner voice.
Yeah, he needs more. He needs to throw more questions at you and make you do some more writing and vlogging.
See, it's because everybody's all grown up now and everybody else has families. I have dogs.
I have a dog. My dog is watching me talk and laugh my ass off here, so too. I have a dog as well. 2 dogs beside me because I'm dog sitting at my parents right now. And right, there you go.
Somehow, I guess I have bored them because usually nothing. Any noise makes them want to bark and get really excited. Right now they're sleeping. So I'm happy to have lulled them with my soothing stories, my exciting words.
Oh yeah, well I think my dog has made the perfect travel companion because she's pretty big. She's a Rottweiler Shepherd cross, and she's about 65 pounds. And wow. Which is not huge by those dog standards, but she's big enough to scare away people who have fears of dogs and may not fear people as much as dogs. So she's made a good travel companion these last couple of years. She's getting up in she's about 10 and a half or 11 now.
Daisy's around 10ish, 11ish. I don't know for sure.
And
I wish
I
dogs
don't know.
count.
I don't know for sure either because she was a stray. My dog was a stray.
See, don't you wish there was some way, like with trees, you can cut them down and count their rings? With dogs, it's like, why aren't there lines on their paws or something that we can count? 'Cause I have no
Yeah, is there some
idea.
sort of like send away DNA testing we can do here? Or
I don't know. I've asked vets. One vet just made up a date. I was
That's what
I
my
was
vet
looking
did.
I was looking back at some of her sheets and stuff from past vets, and it said birth date. It was May 26, 2008 or something. I don't know if that's what it was.
Yeah, my
I was
dog.
like, wait a minute, where the hell did that come from?
Yeah,
I,
my vet said, "When's your birthday?" Because I think I got her in February that year, and he said, "When's your birthday?" And I said, "May 13th," and she was like, "Oh, well, then just make it then," And I was just like, "Okay."
I switched it to her rescue date. I made that her birthday / anniversary because I don't know. I
Yeah,
can't. Why can't she tell me? Why can't you tell me when you were born, dog? These are the conversations we have as I work from
that's
home.
right. Exactly. I'm actually dog sitting as well because I just had 2 friends that leave to go to Dallas, so I got 2 of their dogs as well, but they're not. They're pretty low maintenance.
But see, this is the joy of self-employment. You can babysit dogs.
And do podcasts while you're dog sitting and
Exactly. There's a juggle. Learn to juggle.
learn to juggle.
That's next on my list. As soon as we're done, I'm gonna go and learn to juggle somehow. Just because, and I'm gonna start blogging again and vlogging
Yes.
and email Masuka and ask him about boobs because you want to know. See, this is what happens when you work for yourself. People, everyone, work for
Work
yourselves.
for yourself.
This is
Take
what
the
happens.
plunge. Take the
You
plunge.
can be just like us. Isn't that what everyone wants?
Yeah.
And if that's not how you want to become like us, you can just steal my blonde pictures and make a Facebook page.
And then you can be here without the work.
That's right. That does sound easier, doesn't it? I should have done that. Damn. Hindsight's
Now,
2020.
now what's coming up in the future besides your rapid upscaling of your blogging again? And what else is going on with you and your business? Where are you taking this?
Oh gosh. My psychic abilities haven't been working like they used to, but let's see what else. I don't know really. I don't know how to answer that. I think we're gonna pretty much keep floating along as we have been. I'm hoping for some more exciting clients, and right now I don't have as many Niagara-based clients as I used to because they're not as much on the social media train as say people in Toronto were. So I'm hoping to get more, awareness in this area of how important it is because there's so many businesses now in Niagara, so many small businesses. There didn't used to be this many, and so things are really ramping up, and there's a lot of great new businesses, a lot of more interest in areas that people had kind of not cared so much about before. So I kind of want to help that out and help out the businesses and make sure that everybody thrives. And Niagara's not bad, people.
Yeah,
It's
I think
good times.
yeah, it sounds like good times over there. I mean, I feel one of the things I enjoy about social media, and I would speak mostly about Twitter because that's what I would use this for, and it seems to work very well. Is Twitter now seems like it's the phone from like the 60s and 70s. So you can actually get somebody on the phone back then. Nowadays you can get people on Twitter, so I can like tweet at people, and they will respond. Hopefully, and pretty rapidly usually. And I've tweeted some really interesting people, and one of the things I use it for, because one of the things I do is street performing. So I travel and street perform, which is how I went on the road originally. And so what I will do, what I learned to do anyways, was I would, if I was passing through some place, usually on a route to somewhere else, but if I was passing through, because I usually drive, is I would tweet at the city upcoming, which I knew very little about, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And tweet at their local municipality and stuff and see what the regulations are and if they're sort of street performer friendly or whatever, because a lot of places are not. And a lot of them have responded. In fact, I got or go, a lot of them have tourism boards or so forth like that.
Yeah.
I'll specifically target, and those people, those Twitter accounts are monitored as opposed to like getting some bot on the phone and going through 18 extensions and.
Oh,
so
that's something that I talk about a lot, like because my brain just went blank again. As far as social, or God, it's happening again. The customer service via, especially Twitter. Twitter, I think, is the greatest for social media, and there are people that aren't using it for that, which I think is crazy. But those who are, they're doing it right, because you want to be able to get somebody right away, and have whatever your issue is or whatever your questions are, you want them to be fielded, and that's the best way to do it, other than calling a 1-800 number and going through all the departments and then probably being hung up on, or having someone say, sorry, we can't help you, or whatever. I find that if, say, I'm dealing with, let's say, Rogers, because God knows I've had issues with them in my life.
For people who don't live in Canada.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know what the equivalent here is in the States.
I was just going to say, I don't know.
Yeah, but Rogers, I've had my wars with Rogers in Canada.
DirecTV,
so.
is that?
Yeah, maybe Comcast or something.
Comcast, I don't.
Yeah.
Big TV people or phone people or whatever, they offer so much. I would call them because my internet wasn't working, and I would get absolutely nowhere, or else they would be really rude or hang up, and I'd be on hold for literally an hour, getting, more and more frustrated. Whereas I would go to Twitter, and I even if I wasn't directly tweeting them saying, can you please help me, because we were beyond that, I just said, really pissed off at Rogers, thinking of switching to something else.
Right.
Then automatically within 2 seconds, I have a response. How can we help you? And then I get credited, and then I get everything I want, and everything works out. And that's happened with a few different businesses. You sit on the phone forever and you get nowhere. Whereas Twitter, especially because it's public, so you can say whatever you want, and they don't want the bad publicity. So they're going to work with you to help you out, so that then you can say, really great experience with blah, blah, blah. So glad they, do the great work, whatever it is. It works so well. So the more businesses do that, I think the better it will be, because nobody wants to sit on a phone. We just want to tweet. We want to sit on our couches or sit on our phones and, get things done.
No, I think so.
That's the new way.
It is the new way, and I think it is a very effective way. And I'm not much of I'm not a super complainer or anything. I'm pretty copacetic with whatever's going on at the time. I don't have many things that I run into trouble with usually, but on the few occasions that I do, I go straight to Twitter. I've learned now to just go there and because I can get someone really fast. I remember last year I was in Nashville, and I bought some mobile internet service that I could use wherever I was, basically, and it didn't work quite the way they had advertised, but they jumped right on. Got them right on Twitter, and we were DMing back and forth and stuff, and it got handled within a matter of an hour. And boom, I wish I could remember what it was now, the name, because I would plug them, but
I left a lasting impression.
Yeah, left a total lasting impression. But yeah, I think for people out there who have businesses who maybe aren't taking advantage of the social media, this is one way that you can really take a customer service to another level.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's so accessible, and anyone who's not using that, if you have regular complaints with things that don't work, then that's the place to go. Go to Twitter.
Use Twitter. It can be for more than just, eggplant emojis, which I don't understand emojis, but that's, I think that's just my age. I don't get it. It's fine. And I'm someone who does, social media for a living, but I don't know what eggplant emoji 100 monkey clapping, what it means. That's a sentence, and I don't understand it. So
right, yeah.
I like words. I'm very old school that way. I believe in the English language and the Spanish language. Sure, give me that too. That's
there you
fine.
go. There you go. French for me.
Oh, see? Oui. Yes.
Yes.
I did good there.
All right. Well, it's, so how do people get a hold of you? If people want to work with you, people are listening to this, maybe they're in the Niagara area, St. Catharines, they're in Toronto.
Or Toronto, yep. Messenger pigeon works, but nobody seems to have those anymore. So I guess the best way is go to the website, which is www.TheMediaHaus.ca. But Media House is spelt with an H-A-U-S because I like to be confusing. I didn't realize how confusing it would be until,
Right. Until people say, I can't find you.
Yeah, because I say, okay, it's the Media House. And so they look up Media House, H-O-U-S-E, and it's probably some business in the States that does something completely different. So it's Media House, media spelt normally, because I did at least get that right. House, Haus.ca. Because we're in Canada, eh?
That's right, because they're in Canada.
Yeah, hosers.
Canada, yeah, hoders.
Yeah, we're some Canucks.
Well, great. So if there are people out there who want to get in touch with her, I highly recommend, especially considering she's going to, start writing more. I highly recommend that you go to, and what is the blog's official website?
That is shambledramblings.com, if the domain still works. I think it does. Yes, it does.
Shambledramblings.com. And chances are, if you can't spell that, you shouldn't be reading it anyways. Now, well, it's been a real pleasure having you on. I mean, this was a lot of fun. I'm glad we were able to make this happen.
Me too. Thank you for having me. I was so worried because all of your other guests they've had some crazy, awesome stories. And I'm thinking, what am I going to talk about, my dog? And the answer was yes, I will talk about my dog. That's about it.
Well,
and my fake juggling.
Yeah, I think yours is a good story, though, because a lot of people do have trouble relating to people, who maybe make, tens of millions of dollars or something like that.
I also have trouble relating to
Right, wild success. But you work for yourself. You have your own business. You're free from the sort of quote-unquote 9-to-5 grind. You still have a grind, but it's your own doing. And, yeah, it's your own self-inflicted one. And so, yeah, I think yours is a story that maybe other people, the more people we get on the show of varied backgrounds, varied stories, we got some really interesting people coming up. A girl who used to sell basically drugs on the streets, or be around drug dealers on the streets selling. She wouldn't sell drugs. She would sell other things, but she learned from drug dealers. We have people who have, gone on to make hundreds of millions of dollars. We have people, all over the place. Another one that you might be interested in is a guy named Luke Smitherd. For people who haven't listened to all the episodes, Luke Smitherd is a UK author. He writes fiction, and he writes sort of sci-fi, fantasy, and speculative science and so forth, and horror novels. So he's great. He was on the show back, I think maybe the third or fourth guest we ever had on the show, because I've read his books and stuff like that. So the more varied stories from varied people we have, I think the more people can realize how really simple it is, perhaps not easy, but simple to work for yourself. You just got to make that plunge. And I think your story was very good because you sort of just gradually worked your way into it. I mean, you just, it wasn't like an overnight thing. You had other jobs, and you sort of on the side, and
kind of a gotta do what you gotta do thing.
Yeah, if you really want
to do what you gotta do to pay the bills and make things happen, I guess.
Right. If you had one sort of lasting last piece of advice for people out there who maybe want to follow, I hate these terms, but like follow your passion or whatever the fuck, what would you say to the person?
Oh, geez. You'd think that I would have something real quippy and good for this. What would my advice be? So for someone who wanted to,
they haven't taken the plunge yet. They really want to, they're sick of their job that they have now. They don't want to work for somebody.
This is going to sound boring and, very old lady-ish of me, but if you can, make sure that you have some money saved up. Make sure that you are, all set however you can be. If you're in a situation where you're not spending a lot on rent or mortgage, or you don't have a lot of bills, if you're in a situation where things are kind of taken care of as much as they can be, that's a good time. Or maybe plan in the future. If you have a good job that maybe you kind of hate, start saving up, and then, take the plunge a little later, because everything's going to be slow to start. I know a lot of entrepreneurs, and some of them have found success quite quickly, and I have no idea how they did it, but sometimes it's just magical and everything falls into place. But plan as much as you can. I didn't so much, and again, I was young and wanted to get out of the office, but yeah, if you can, plan and then plunge. Plan, then plunge. The 2 Ps, very important.
There you go. Well, that is awesome. I have a couple more questions I'll ask you off the air.
Uh-oh.
For everybody else listening, of course, I hope you enjoyed this edition here. A lot of value here for people who are looking to take that initial plunge, get out of the office. We also like to thank, of course, Ben Sound at bensound.com for the intro and outro music. And you need any free, royalty-free music, go over there, because he's got a bunch, and it's all great. Yep. And tune in next time when we have another exciting guest. I never seem to know who it is, because we tape these things so far in advance. But I'm sure it'll be someone as exciting as Kristen, although that would be a tough thing to come up with, I think. All right. We'll talk to everyone later.